thing here. University of Kansas and their athletic department announced today their latest plans for the Gateway District, which will feature some major upgrades and some reimagining of Kansas Memorial Stadium. It will also include a new conference center, multi-use facilities that will enable year-round use and also hopefully drive some economic development in the town of Lawrence, Kansas. Also have combination of retail, dining, other amenities to drive student recruitment and enhance the campus experience for what it says is, not only the students, but the employees as well. But the first architectural renderings were out today. So I just mentioned that because you are married to a Jayhawk, so I'm not sure if she saw these already.
I don't know. I got a text as I was leaving the house today from a friend.
Yeah, it looks really cool and will certainly be a cool deal. And I think that's the kind of thing now is these party districts, right? All these college campuses, it seems like, are really going the entertainment district route more and more and more. It's like beer sales was a thing a few years ago. Now it's entertainment districts. And so Kansas unveiling the plans, and it looks like it'd be pretty dadgum cool for KU fans. So check that out if you haven't already. But, the transformed David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium to open in August 2025, and big news on that Gateway District. So there you go. There's a few things off the radar.
Yeah, Garrett, I'm going to how quickly can you get this turned around if I send it to you?
Pretty quick.
Okay, here, I'll send it to you so you can see. And, if Kansas gets football going just enough to where they can keep people entertained when it's not basketball season, that's an athletic department that can really explode.
And they also have, like, part of their whole capital project, there's basketball involved, but as far as the renderings go today, showing off that Gateway District, it looks pretty cool, and there's a lot of bells and whistles and things of that nature. So, yeah, that'll be fun to see that start to rise up and eventually become a standard there for the game day experience.
Yeah, Garrett will pop it up on screen here really quickly so that you can see it. Really looks quite cool, and it's something that's for KU fans, I think, a long overdue. They felt that way, that they had really needed this.
Got a reason to care now.
Yeah,
you got a great coach who's got a good football team, and excited to see how good they are. But just in general, it seemed a little lifeless.
Well, the other thing they need to do is look, when you have a great coach, knowing you may lose that great coach, you want to be able to attract a second great coach.
Yes.
So
I think people forget that part of once he leaves, you need the next guy.
Yeah. So there it is.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, so you need to make sure that, because, and this is no offense to the people who were running Kansas back then, but they kind of fell into Mark Mangino a little bit. Right? I mean, it worked out for them, and he had that good run, and then he was gone.
I think you see the district there in the top one, especially. Is that to the left, I think, is what they're really referencing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks cool.
So they kind of lucked into Mark Mangino, and then subsequently didn't do anything. Like, they had some coaches who were not successful, and some coaches, I think, that probably are good at certain aspects but weren't right for KU, and then they had Les Miles at the end, which wasn't good at all. But they didn't do anything until now to make sure that when that job is open, they don't have to necessarily go hope for a Lance Leipold who has been unnoticed for a little while at the lower levels.
I think for them, and then going back to the USF stuff earlier, just always be ready because you don't know when the call's coming. So instead of thinking we'll do that stadium project in 5 years when we, everything else will be in better shape or whatever. You have the stock market could crash in 5 years or war starts, and tears apart the world, or COVID hits. And, so just be ready. Always be ready to strike whenever, whether the iron's hot or cold, because you just never know. And the last thing you want is to be sitting there and have the opportunity and then just, we should have been prepared for this moment, and then you may not ever get that chance again.
And Kansas is so bad for so long that you probably might have missed out on 3 or 4 Lance Leipold type coaches over that long stretch. They were so bad because you're like, okay, well, the Kansas job is open this year, but if I wait till next year, then maybe Kentucky would be open. I'm just throwing that out there for football. That one's open. Well, that's also kind of in the similar spot in that it's mostly a basketball school, but they're going to spend more on football than I know Kansas will right now, just based on their thing. And so, I think that, this is great. Happy for Kansas. I have to deal with enough stress during basketball season being married to a Jayhawk. So we'll see if she ever gets hooked on Jayhawk football. She was I'm surprised she's not, because when she was
I'm not, given the way the last few years have gone. I don't
but-
blame anybody for not really being.
but when
Props
she-
to you that stayed through it, though.
But when she was a student, that was during the glory years,
Yeah,
the Todd Reesing times. But, basketball's, that's her drug of choice. So,
Right.
Be that as it may, I'll just go hide in another room when Kansas is on during the basketball season. When we come back, one short segment, then John